So basically, my internet, and they're like, "Oh well, we're gonna come out there and fix your stuff." I'm like, "But y'all, I don't even have your service. Like, like you fucked up my internet, and it's like I'm like I don't. I'm trying to understand, you know."
Well, since you're here, we'll get started. And speaking of fucked up situations, we'll get to that. We will
Segue.
get to that. But in today's title, is Project Console episode whatever Scam Station 5 Pro. Uh,
Oh
runner
man.
runner up was Line Station because they had been smoking a lot of lines off some very attractive hookers to come up with the
They
price that
snorted
they
some
came up
lines of
with.
cocaine. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Mark
um,
Cerny, you're an asshole.
yeah, yeah. But before we get to that, Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters, but this is not BS Busters. This is Kenoshi's cast. So I am just along for the ride, adding my opinion when asked.
I have you along for the ride. But before we get into the Scam Station 5, there's a couple other topics I'd like to talk about first. So, this might be old news, but it's new news to me. I just found out a couple days ago that Banjo Kazooie just got decompiled. So, but we're going hopefully in the future we will see a proper, well, yeah, a PC port of the game, which will allow it to be easily modded and
Yeah.
give you
Yeah.
features
Now,
like
you know what this means? This means that they'll have to do, once they do the first game, they have to do the second game and then combine them both into one huge game.
oh yeah, that'd be great if they could manage to do that. Because stuff I played from the Mario 64 port, a lot of nice features, graphical
Yeah.
features, frame rate features,
I
cheat
mean, it's
features
nice
if you
getting it at
just
solid 30.
yeah.
Because those games would dip back in the day. The only rare game that didn't have dips in like not huge amounts of dips to frame rate was Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
But Perfect Dark had the expansion pack, which basically gave it like 4 megabytes of RAM that basically made it, you know, a little bit snappier.
But in any case, so that was interesting news. Um, what kind of modifications or what sort of enhancements would you like to see from the Banjo Zooey PC port?
Just a steady frame rate because that
Yeah.
game kind of even if you use the expansion pack, the frame rate would kind of dip. you know, like it's a good looking game because of the art style, and even with like if you played it without the expansion pack, it would be a bit more polygonal, and with the expansion pack, it would be kind of smoothed a little bit.
A little less
But I
aliasing.
still yeah, it would smooth it out a little bit, and the frame rate would be a little bit higher, but it still was like, even with the expansion pack, it would dip between 25, 24, 22. But without the expansion pack, it would dip into the teens in
Yeah.
some parts, which was why, look, of all of the fifth gen systems, I personally am kind of a fan of the N64 because I think like the types of games I liked to play aside from RPGs were mostly on the N64. Like I liked um, first person shooters. The analog control stick for 3D platformers is that was the way to go, right?
Yeah.
But the frame rate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially for like Ocarina of Time. Um,
Oh yeah,
the
Mario
3DS.
64, Ocarina of Time, basically the frame rate for 3D games on the N64. And here's the thing: even though people who like to hate on the N64, oh well, the N64 had jittery frame rates. So did the PlayStation. The PlayStation was worse in some cases. So I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, it wasn't always smooth on the PlayStation, that's for sure.
All right.
Oh,
So I'm just saying, for me, the big thing was, these days it's all about frame rates. Like, I don't give a fuck about graphical fidelity. I don't care. I just want steady frame rates. I just want, if it's 30, have it be 30 locked. If it's 60, have it be 60 locked. But here's the thing: we talk about frame rate, but F-Zero, uh, AX, or F-Zero, whichever one that was on the N64, that game was 60 frames per second, 360p.
no, that's pretty crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know, man. I don't
Yeah.
like. I don't. I mean, you could do 60 frames per second back then. It's just some people didn't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah. It might have been, technical limitations of not what I mean by technical limitations. Basically, mean by just knowledge and how to use
Yeah,
the system.
yeah, yeah. Another thing I would like to see if they do this is add other rare characters into Banjo Kazooie, like how they did with Breath of the Wild, where you could play as CJ and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
On the emulated version of it. I would love to see a Banjo Kazooie where like they've got like Mario and Luigi, or or, or Wario and Waluigi, or like other characters from Rare's history, like the Battletoads or Conker,
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look, listen. I love my N64 and all the games that people are like, oh, I like these games and I wish they kept brought to PC. I already have the original versions of these games. That's great, but I would love to have more people have access to these games. Because the N64 only sold forget, but it wasn't like as successful as the SNES. Like, I think it sold 60. Here, let me check. I would look on my computer, but my internet is down. So I'm going to look on N64 sales numbers. It sold 32 million units.
The N64.
Compared to, yeah, and I mean, it was financially successful, okay, for Nintendo.
Yeah.
But compared to the SNES sold like 49.1, let's say 50.
Yeah.
All right. And, so, that means a lesser amount of people played that shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just for shits and giggles, let's look at GameCube sales numbers. It sold 21. So basically, every console generation, they lost like 10 million people playing their system.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And they really didn't come back until the Wii. The Wii was like, God damn.
Yeah. It was essentially a repackaged GameCube. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super game. It was a little bit more powerful than the GameCube because
Yeah.
it had to be able to handle like the Bluetooth for the controllers. But I mean, functionally speaking, it was a GameCube. It was two GameCubes. It was a GameCube and a half smashed together. But there were some good games on that system. But
Yeah, that's true.
back
That's
to
true.
the to those N64. Yeah, man. Look, man. Like I said, I would like to see if they're gonna mod it, I just want to see. First of all, I want to see optimization of the game. So higher frame rates, steady frame rates, and then you can start adding all the little like, oh man, I'm playing as Donkey Kong and Banjo Kazooie, or add the playable characters from Diddy Kong Racing into Banjo Kazooie. That'd be hilarious. It's Timber, Ranch. It's Diddy Kong. What's Diddy Kong doing in Banjo Kazooie? Don't worry about it. This is when they first met. Yeah. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Next topic is Astrobot. So that was Sony's answer to Mario, and it did pretty well in reviews and reception. And it showed main reason I brought this topic up is because I feel like the industry keeps telling you, or it keeps telling us what we want and what we don't want versus what people actually want or actually don't want. And the last few years have been proof of that, trying to convince people to, tell them what they want. Because for a while, it's like the only big 3D platformer holding it down was Mario. And, I mean, we had smaller stuff here and there, but, either it was an indie game or it was just a game that just didn't get a lot of attention. Didn't,
Yeah.
So
I mean,
people
I think the
still
critical
want,
reception is that. No, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that people still, there's still a desire there for mascot-based platformer characters.
Yeah, you just have to make a good game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen gameplay footage of Astrobot. I didn't think there was anything really special about it, but considering the desert that PlayStation fans have for 3D platformers on their system, look, man, a cracker, when you're starving, a cracker is delicious.
I just thought it was interesting. I just thought it was interesting that Sony pushed it as hard as they did, because they don't typically push games like that.
Yeah, because they didn't have anything else coming out. There was there's nothing else really hitting the PS5 first party wise that's like really pushing it. What I thought was interesting was the story that came out that they used certain people's art styles and characters and didn't give credit to those people in Astrobot.
Oh, that happened again? We're doing this again?
I was like, yes. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, listen, okay. So, let's keep it 100%. Sony fans, y'all have been given the short end of the stick. Y'all are constantly being abused, beaten, stabbed, and taken advantage of by Sony. And you take it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You take it with a big smile on your face and say, thank you, sir, may I have some more?
It's been really bad this generation, that's for sure.
I mean, every generation. It's been this way ever since the PS1. Well, yeah, the PS1. Sony came out with that shitty-ass, the DualShock, right? The DualShock 1. People remember that shit where you were playing 3D games with like direction pads and not analog control sticks? How shit those games were? Have people forgotten? And then they stole the analog control stick from Nintendo with the N64 with the DualShock 2.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is nice. Yeah. All I'm going to say is this, okay? Sony has basically... the current Sony president said that Sony has a first-party IP problem. It does. You want to know why? Because Sony, for so long, has not really put any investment into their first-party IPs.
Yeah,
they don't.
They don't. The console doesn't have
Okay,
a clear identity outside of just like
everything is like second and everything is third party exclusives, not first party IPs.
the biggest identity that the PlayStation has is if you grew up with it or not is the history. Other than that, that's
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about the games that people associate with PlayStation, they're all third party exclusives. I like Final Fantasy, third party exclusive. I like Banjo Kazooie. I mean, not Crash Bandicoot, third party exclusive.
yeah,
Soul Calibur, third party exclusive.
yeah.
I mean, there's only like five first party games that were specifically that Sony owns. God of War, like back in the day, cream and coffee and cream, something with some cats, some shit like that. But no one gives a fuck about that. No one. The most known first party IPs that Sony has is Siphon Filter. Um,
I know that people have
Shit.
been begging for that game for the
That
past
racing
50.
game, that fucking racing game that they
Gran
lost all that
Turismo.
money. Gran
Gran Turismo.
Turismo, yeah, Gran
Yeah.
Turismo, Ridge Racer, um, which is more arcadey. Spyro the Dragon, which used to be first party, now it's like third party. Um, Medieval, yeah, Medieval, but that's not like a major, big that's like not a major first party IP. It's first party, but it's not like a
I
major
think.
IP.
Oh, the
I
thing
mean,
about
Twisted Metal, kind of. I mean, it's God of War 6. I mean, Sony does not support their first party lineup. They figured out we are just gonna spend out money on third party exclusives to basically keep those games on our system, and people will come to our system to play those games. Okay. I know people who grew up with the SNES and the NES. They jumped to the PlayStation because they wanted RPGs.
yeah. Oh yeah, and both Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot, I believe, are owned by Universal and Naughty Dog.
Now they are. Back in the
And Sony,
day, Spyro was owned by that was Sony, and they sold it off to Vivendi Universal, and then Vivendi Universal sold it off to Activision.
oh okay.
But Crash Bandicoot was never first party.
No, yeah, yeah,
Crash Bandicoot was always like third party.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
third party exclusive.
Yeah, that's one of the things that most people. Obviously, that's the biggest things that most people forget is that a lot of those games you grew up with and loved on the PlayStation that were for the time exclusive to the PlayStation that were they weren't necessarily PlayStation games in the sense that Sony had rights to them.
No, no. Sony basically for a lot of it, for a lot of the big names, they paid out for exclusivity or they did backroom deals. For the
Yeah,
shit that was like smaller, more niche, it was like who are you going to put your games on? The system that has like 30 million install base or the system that has 150 million install base?
yeah,
It's basic math, you know.
yeah. Also, your beloved Final Fantasy VII was never exclusive to the PlayStation. There was a PC port that was made by Eidos that I heard wasn't very good, but
No, it was
it
it was a
existed.
shit port. It also went on. It also, I think they also did. They were working on a Saturn port of Final Fantasy VII, but that got scrapped as
Yeah,
well. I think I heard. I think I heard that, but it was never. But it was if you wanted to play it on a console, it was PlayStation exclusive.
yeah. Oh man. So, you know, Sony had So they shut down Concord because that was doing terribly, and then they had a small glimmer of hope, an Astrobot, and then they had to shit all over it with their announcement of the PlayStation 5 Pro. Uh,
Yeah.
that it's just like, are you ready to pony up for? Are you ready to get your wallet destroyed by? People were excited. They're a little excited about it until they saw that price. Until they saw that price,
I mean, it's
$699.
$700. $700.
Yeah, seven
Actually,
hundred
higher than
dollars.
that with taxes.
Yeah.
So let's say,
It doesn't come with the disc drive, so it's even higher than that if you want to
yeah,
play your
yeah,
physical
yeah,
media.
yeah. So you stripped out a major feature, but you're charging more than the base price.
Yeah. How is
Huh.
it that the $500 one gets a disc drive, but your Pro model, it has the Pro moniker to it, doesn't come with a stand and doesn't come with a disc drive, and you're just sitting back
Well, I
wondering,
could give a fuck
how
less
is this
about.
thing Pro then?
Personally speaking, I could give a fuck less about the stand. I don't care, but because I mean, ultimately, if you really want to stand for your PlayStation, you can probably buy a third party one that's of higher quality than the shit that comes in the box. Uh, but
That's possible.
but
Yeah.
like you don't have a Blu-ray drive. I mean, but don't you make Blu-rays, Sony?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
you couldn't throw in a Blu-ray drive? Like it people aren't using physical media. And once again, Sony is doing the same thing that Microsoft did with the Xbox One. Remember that? Remember that shit? Oh, you don't. You need to always. You don't have to. I mean, we have a device for people like that who don't want. Who don't want to. We have a device for people like that who don't want to always be online. It's called the PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
And no
it's
one's
just
gonna say anything.
yeah, yeah. The PlayStation 5 Pro is supposed to be the professional of the PlayStation series, but yet they couldn't include a damn optical drive. And I'm just wondering, it's like, okay, it's like, so you gimp your highest tier offering? Okay, I guess he's less than the body blow by adding 2 terabytes instead of 1 terabyte, but still, it doesn't make any sense. I can't let that one slide either. So it's just like they probably just didn't want to make it $780, or they didn't want to lose any more money on the console, and then you just sit back and wonder why the hell make it anyway. Games didn't look all that different. It was just a lot of the games they were showing were older games that were out already. They didn't show anything new. It was just like, what's there to be excited about? Uh,
I mean, look, man, Sony is trying to extend the console generation because they don't want to put the money to launch their next system. And as the cost of making games goes up, they don't want to spend the money. From a business standpoint, I understand it. From a consumer standpoint, I'm like, nah, don't care.
yeah,
I
I
already
get
have a
you.
PS5, which I guess the original is more pro than the Pro is.
I mean, at this
Because
point,
it
it
has
might
a,
as well
it has
be.
a Blu-ray drive.
Yeah,
It has a
exactly.
Blu-ray/DVD drive,
Yeah.
whereas the Pro doesn't. Here's the sad thing: you can go and you can spend $700 and get a gaming PC that's more powerful and more capable.
Huh? Yeah. And you can upgrade it later too if you want to.
Yeah,
That's
no,
nice.
I mean out the box, you can get a gaming PC right now for $700 that has better specs and is more powerful than the PS5 Pro right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, yeah, you probably could.
And I don't mean like build it. I mean you could go. I'm guaranteed you can go right now. You know they're having some type of. I'm guaranteed someplace somewhere is someone's still having one of those Labor Day September sales. Because I know Cyber Power sent me some shit. I guarantee if you go in there, you look some shit up. I guarantee you can get yourself a decent rig for $700.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy what they're doing. But I guess this is. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll announce something around Tokyo Game Show. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to hold things a little bit closer to the vest, but I just don't. I just don't see why you would feel the need to do that entirely. There's individuals I know that you know believe that these corporations, because of their data and their research, have the information to make an informed decision about a particular market. But the past few years, I've just seen so much incompetence from these corporations, especially
Well,
especially Sony.
I have to interject. I don't think that they've been listening to data research. I think Sony is saying, look, we are the console. We like okay, yeah, the Switch is there, but fuck Nintendo. We are the console leader of this generation. Okay,
Yeah,
where we basically lead the industry, and the industry we are going to tell them what they want. That's what Sony's thinking. Okay,
yeah,
and they've done it before. Remember, like I said, I just said earlier. Remember when Microsoft tried to do this exact same thing with the Xbox One, making a
exactly.
console with no hard drive, and because like, okay, the fact that this system has no hard drive
No disk
means
drive.
that in order to verify you have a legit copy of the game, it's going to be some form of online DRM. You're going to have to be hooked up to the internet.
Yep,
And if you're not hooked up to the internet, you're not going to be able to play that game.
yep,
We know this. This is just the way things are. And, you tell this to people, and I remember gamers getting outraged, right, at Microsoft. And then Sony did this big press conference. We're like, oh, we're different. We trade your game to anybody. And then they're doing the exact same goddamn thing. They're just doing it a generation afterwards, like
yeah,
official.
yeah.
So why, Jesus, man, man, let me put it this way. I hate to say this, Sony gamers, you're dumb.
Yeah, but
You're fucking stupid.
there
You're
are
gullible.
there are people. I've been watching videos and stuff. There are people that are actually pretty upset about what Sony's doing with this thing. So it's not.
Yeah, but they're upset now. Like, okay, let me put it this way. We knew when Sony started pushing online shit and your system had to be connected to the internet in order for it to work, that this is where they were going. So basically, it's like, okay, it's like you see someone, it's like you live on a block that has like 20 houses before your house, right? And you see a gang of robbers breaking into people's houses, right? You see them all the way 20 houses down, starting, and they're working their way down the street. And then you act surprised when they get to your house, even though you saw them breaking in all those other houses getting to your house. That's what Sony fans are like. Look, I can't believe they did this, but they've been doing it. Look, you saw them down there and started. Like, why are you surprised now? I didn't know they'd come this far. It's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? For real? Why are you so gullible?
Yeah,
And now they're like, oh, how could this happen? Because you allowed it. You allowed Sony. See, here's the thing. When people start and this isn't just Sony fans. This is whether you're an Xbox fan, a Sony fan, a Nintendo fan. When a company starts doing fucked up shit and you just let them do it, you don't say, "Hey, that's kind of fucked up. Don't do that." Then they look. If silence to a company, silence and you buying the product is the same as saying as giving them consent to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't say anything and you don't if you don't say anything and you continue to use the product, it's the same as you saying yes, I'm with you. So that's what they wanted to do. That's what they did. And now Sony is. We already heard the myth that they said that Sony's their Pro was not going to have a hard drive.
Yeah.
This came out months ago.
Yeah. Again,
and it doesn't have a hard drive.
It's worst kept secret. Yeah. No disk drive. It's the
It doesn't have a disk drive. Huh?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then you have people that are defending it. Obviously, you have your Sony pay piggies out there who will oink for this machine when it comes out because they have nothing better to do with their lives. But yeah, they. I heard one guy say, "Oh, this thing's gonna be more powerful than a 4090." It's like, okay, now you're smoking the same pink coca that Sony over there is smoking.
I would say that since it's using AMD, this thing is probably using a variant of the APUs that AMD's been using.
Yeah, it's the equivalent to a 7600 XT, which is a mid-range, like a lower-end graphics card.
That's lower. Yeah, it's lower end. Because look, man. Look. Okay. AMD right now, let me put it this way. You want to know why I haven't updated my AMD graphics card or CPU? Because I looked at the specs of the newest shit AMD is coming out with, and my shit is still more powerful than the new shit that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to update.
Yeah.
Zero reason. Like their top tier graphics card that they're coming out with, my shit still outperforms. The only way I can upgrade my graphics card is if I go up to the XTX.
Yeah.
7900. Sorry, 7950 XTX. That's the only way. There's no other way I can upgrade.
Yeah.
So the new shit, the only other way I could upgrade my graphics card is if I feel like spending like $5,000 on a fucking NVIDIA 4090.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like spending $5,000 on anything.
Anyway, yeah, that's and obviously they're gonna say price doesn't matter. Some of the defenders of this freaking thing, but yeah, I would say I was joking about it yesterday. Still joke about it. It's like Sony just went in and murdered console gaming, just absolutely. Just absolutely killed it. But in all seriousness, though, this is probably going to be ultimately a niche product. It'll probably sell well out the gate, and then it'll taper off really fast.
Yeah. Well, the people what you're going to get are people who probably who see the technological shortcomings of the PS5, and it's bothering them. It's bothering them playing newer games that, even in performance mode, are running not that well. So those people will upgrade. People who haven't bought a PS5, were on the fence, or or who don't know any better, will get it. right? And that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, let's see, they said that the PS5 has now sold like over 100 million units, like 110, 120. I'm guessing this will probably sell maybe 10, 12 million. Maybe if I'm being really charitable, 20.
Yeah.
It's not gonna supersede hardware revamps of consoles and handhelds never sell better than the original.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
never do. You know, the OG Game Boy outsold all the little other, like the Game Boy Pockets. The OG Game Boy Color outsold all the other Game Boys. The OG Game Boy Advance outsold all the original the little variants and shit. The DS, the OG DS sold more than the other little like revamps. The original 3DS sold the lion's share of those sales was the original. The OG original Switch outsold the little like bundles and lights and all that other shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say either. Any free topics you want to throw out there?
Uh, Only that the president of the former Sony Computer Entertainment president of Europe is there's a reason he's the former president. This man said some shit that I was like, I can't believe this person said this out loud.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I
And
was
it was
wondering
written
if you
down.
read that article. Yeah, read that
Yeah,
today. It's like this guy's nuts.
you want to know why do you want to know why there's so many people losing their jobs in the tech industry right now? Because people like this are at the top and they have no fucking concern for anyone who's not like them. A complete and
Yeah.
total lack of empathy. All right, like I don't know how you can get to run a corporation or a large part of a corporation and you have no concept of the people beneath you.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand that. Like it's strange to me that you have people who are like, well, they'll be fine. They'll get their severance and then they'll go to the beach or hang out with their kids and then their money will run out. Then they'll figure something out. I'm like, fucking hell. And here's the thing: he was the European Sony president, and let me tell you something: Europe has much stronger worker protections than the U.S.
Yeah.
The U.S., it depends on which state you live in. If you live in a right-to-work state, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Okay? They fire your ass, and unless you are fired or there is something going on, you're lucky if you get unemployment insurance.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: if you live in a state that you pay income tax, you pay into the unemployment insurance, the state-funded unemployment insurance. You're not a burden on the economy. You're paying for something that you already paid for in taxes. You're just using it because you're unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. He's like, oh yeah, these people, these people who might make 50, 60, 70,000 a year, which I know 70,000 sounds like a lot of money, but with cost of living and income and housing and everything like that, that's not a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah. It depends on your
So
situation. Highly depends on
okay,
your
let me put it this
situation.
way: if you are single and you live in a tiny one-bedroom apartment where the rent is like $800 or $1,000 a month, and you make $70,000, so that's like, let's say you get paid bi-monthly, so every 2 weeks, you might make 25,000. So 25 between 25, like after you pay taxes, you might bring home in your check 25,000. Okay, cool, sure. What? All right. Fantastic. All right. Here's the problem. Okay. Okay. If your housing, this is just housing, this isn't utilities. If your housing is, let's say, 1,000, but then with uh, your internet, your utilities, which is let's just say your utilities entirely is like $800. That includes, let's say, you have a car, your car note with your electricity, your gas, your internet. Let's say you have a basic cable package, $800. That's $1,800 right there. So you brought home the first 2 weeks. That's eaten up. You have maybe $700. We haven't even gotten to you eating yet. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to eat. Okay, so you spent your money on eating, but you have an office job. You have to get your clothes dry cleaned. Let's say you're wearing between 10, 15 outfits every 2 weeks, mixing and matching. Let's say 30 pieces of clothing. That is like $150 worth of dry cleaning every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's basically, you have $200, $300 left. Now let's say your car broke down. The bill is $500. You only have $300 in the bank until payday next week.
Yeah. There's I mean, yeah, there's a lot of factors you have to take in when it comes to it's like, oh, this person's making 70, 80, 90, even 100K.
That is not a lot of money when you think about
no.
the cost of living.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, that's a lot of money. Not really. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you really break it down, people are struggling. But
That's why some
that's the GP. But to have someone say he probably made millions. Oh yeah, they'll be fine. They'll just they'll get their unemployment insurance and blah blah blah. I'm like, man, fuck you. And people wonder why people don't like the people at the top. They're like, fuck these people. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of, I read this thing, and they said that a lot of the people who are like the head of corporations and CEOs have sociopathic tendencies. It makes perfect sense, because one of the symptoms of a sociopath is someone who lacks empathy. And empathy is where you say, hey, instead of me firing, like, let's say I have 500 employees and me firing like 25% of them because I made a bad decision, or the market changed and, like, we aren't bringing in as much revenue as I'd like. But I mean, if you're the CEO and your salary is $60 million a year, why don't you cut your salary in half so that the people who are making way less than you can stay employed until market situations turn around? Because the market is always turning around.
Yeah.
Shit looks bad, then it looks good again. There's always opportunity somewhere. But in order to capitalize on these opportunities, you need people to do the work. Because I guarantee you, by this time next year, they're going to be hiring people again, because they fired a lot of people and they need people to do these projects.
Yeah.
So we got to fire these people because they did some shit. I'm like, fuck you. Yeah, that dude said some shit. I was just like, I can't trust this guy.
Well, in lighter news, looks like Croc is getting a
Yeah, I heard about that.
remake.
Yeah. Argonaut Software, the people who made the best Star Fox, in my opinion, the original, came back together to make Croc.
Yeah. And it looks like it Well, we're hoping that it controls better than the original. God dang those controls.
What? Now, see, I prefer the original Star Fox over the later ones.
No, I'm talking about Croc.
Oh,
The
oh yeah,
tank.
yeah, yeah.
The controller.
Those shitty tank controls. Yeah, like really, Croc could have been great had it been on the N64 with the analog control stick, because it being on the
PlayStation with the Wishbone controller just didn't help it very much.
no, it did not. It was like, oh god, these tank controls, Jesus. And here's the thing: Croc, for the tank control 3D platformers, one of the better controlling ones compared to some of the other ones. Like, uh, shit, I forgot. Busby 3D.
Yeah.
Ugh, Busby. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything, you piece of shit. Everything could go wrong, Bubsy. Everything. And some of the other 3D platformers, those tank controls were terrible. I've only played one 3D platformer that had tank controls where I was like, this is doable. And it was a game that came out on, it was on the PlayStation. I forget the title. It was a Japanese game that was it was kind of easy to get into. It was in Japanese, but it you didn't have to know Japanese in order to play it. And I'm like, oh, these tank controls aren't that bad. By and large, most tank control 3D, like once you go, it's hard to go back from an analog stick to tank controls. It's like, I can't play this. This is damn near impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope the series gets a second chance. At least we make the first two. Hopefully that hopefully he gets another chance. But I may or may not pick it up. I'm not sure. See what people say about it.
I mean, I
dose
like
of
Argonaut,
nostalgia.
and I want to support the company. Hopefully, if Croc does well, Nintendo will give them a chance, and we can finally get a true remaster of the original Star Fox, because I fucking love that game. It's my favorite Star Fox in the series. I wish they would stop trying to cram Star Fox 64 down everyone's necks. This is great. I'm like, game has problems.
Yeah.
The music is not that good. All range mode is gimmicky as fuck.
But that's all I have for today. Anything else you'd like to say before we close out the show?
That was it. I got nothing. We got the one I was gonna get, which was that guy, that Sony Computer Entertainment Europe president's like, yeah, these people who lost their jobs, they'll be fine. I'm like, dude, you're rich. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
These people work for a fucking living. They're not gonna be fine. You bastard. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got.
Alright. Well, this has been Kenoshi Abominito, Project Console, and you're going to have your show tomorrow.
Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to have my show tomorrow. What I'll probably have to do is go to one of the Wi-Fi hotspots near me and just have the cast looking like a crazy person talking on my laptop. But I can do that because my laptop is damn powerful.
Yeah.
My laptop is a gaming laptop. It's got the power.
So, man, you're not going to get internet back until when? Do you know?
They said that they will be out here between 3 and 5 on Friday. Luckily, I don't work Friday.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. I don't work Friday. I work Sunday. I work Saturday. I don't work Sunday. I work Monday. So basically, next week I have, because normally I work Friday to Monday. So luckily for me, I only work 2 days this upcoming week. Yeah. So I'm having like a little mini-cation, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I got nothing else to say. Anything you want to pimp out, sir?
Yeah, still doing some music stuff on channel I work with, Project Open Mic. Probably put something up tonight or tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And that's about it. This has been Project Console. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. And have a good night. Later.
All right. Mr. Red Fox, I'm Friday BS Busters. Thank you for joining. I'll have my cast tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.